Welcome to today's explainer. Let's just dive right in because we need to completely shatter a major illusion right off the bat. It's the idea that our thoughts and our emotions are somehow locked away, safely contained inside our own heads. We go through our days having a thought, feeling a sudden burst of joy, or maybe a flash of anxiety, and it all feels like this intensely private, self-contained loop happening purely behind our eyes. But spiritual science tells us something vastly more profound. We are not confined within our skin. Our inner life is literally constantly interacting with entirely unseen dimensions.
And this brings us to a really foundational concept. The human soul is actually a confluence of luminous streams. When a feeling bubbles up in you, or when you focus on a specific thought, it isn't just some isolated electrical spark firing off in your brain. Actually, at that exact second, a targeted luminous stream literally shoots out from you and enters the astral world. Every single activity of your soul, every joy, every alarm, is constantly pumping out these living, flowing currents. Now you might be wondering, where does all that energy go? Well, these streams don't just wander aimlessly into the void. They're highly magnetic. Imagine that 100 or even 1,000 people all feel a deep, burning sense of justice or maybe courage. All of those individual streams of thought and emotion actually seek each other out. They flow toward and connect with a single focal point, an actual, literal astral entity that is constituted entirely of that shared concept. So you are constantly spinning these invisible threads that embed you right into a vast, complex network of astral beings. So, with all of this going on, how do we handle this immense influx and outflow without completely losing our minds? It turns out our self-awareness, what we call our I, acts as a master gravitational anchor. Because we are receiving and sending streams from literally all directions, a healthy human being has to act as a master over them. Your I is the central ruler. It's the boss. It concentrates these incredibly diverse forces flowing in from all sides and holds the whole shebang together. It's the only reason you feel like a unified person rather than just a chaotic storm of passing impulses. But what happens when that gravitational anchor fails? When self-awareness lapses, the individual literally fragments. They stop feeling like an intact, unified being. Instead of experiencing these astral streams as something they can control or direct, they feel as though they're dissolving back into the separate streams themselves. It's a total collapse of the center. And this loss of mastery is actually identified as the spiritual basis for profound mental illness or madness. We actually have a stark, tragic, historical example of this collapse in the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. During his terrible breakdown in the winter of 1888, his final letters reveal this exact fragmentation happening in real time. He completely lost his I and started identifying totally with the various astral streams he had engaged with throughout his life. In those letters, he claimed to be the god Dionysus, then King Carlo Alberto, and sometimes even local criminals he just read about in the newspaper. He no longer experienced his central self. He was just pulled apart into the astral currents. Okay, this brings us to a fundamental rule of astral physics, and it operates completely differently from our physical reality. Down here in the physical world, the law of impenetrability rules, right? Two physical objects, or two people, simply cannot occupy the exact same space at the same time. If we want something done, we have to negotiate space. But the astral plane, that operates on the law of permeability. Hundreds of beings, thoughts, and entities can interpenetrate and exist in the exact same location all at once. And here's the kicker. On the astral plane, a thought is an immediate deed. And we need to get our bearings straight on where this is all happening. The astral world isn't some distant sci-fi galaxy light years away. It's right here. Our physical world is incredibly porous, and between its finest particles exist the spaces of these higher planes. The astral plane completely interpenetrates our physical reality. Entities of the astral world are all around us, existing in the very same space we occupy, seamlessly overlapping our physical world thanks to this law of permeability. To really wrap your head around how bizarre and wonderful this is, think of a city council trying to build a new church. Here on Earth, if two factions have wildly different architectural plans, what happens? They argue, they negotiate, they fight, until a majority wins out, because you can only physically build one church in one spot. But on the astral plane, where thoughts immediately materialize as deeds and objects, there is no need for a vote. Both groups would simply form their ideas, and boom! Two completely different churches would immediately materialize and interpenetrate each other, occupying the exact same space. Now, you are absolutely going to ask, if opposite things materialize in the exact same space, isn't that just absolute chaos? How is anything resolved? Well, in the astral world, ideas do not negotiate, they battle. If two contradictory thoughts or entities occupy the same space, they battle it out, based purely on their inherent productivity. The more fruitful, justified idea naturally destroys and completely replaces the weaker one. It's entirely based on the principle that fruitful things alone are true. But we also have to recognize that this overlapping reality is divided. We're actually interacting with a dual astral environment. There's the good astral world, which is conceptually located above the physical plane, and that receives all the streams of thought and feeling that are productive for human progress. And then there's the evil astral world, located below, containing all the streams that inhibit human evolution. And both of these distinct worlds interpenetrate our physical space simultaneously. If we trace the cosmic history of this duality, and this is a huge concept, we find that the astral world would have developed purely as good if left entirely unhindered. But during a highly critical period of cosmic evolution, specifically the era when the physical moon separated from the Earth, the evil astral realm was specifically incorporated into Earth's general astral environment. This essentially embedded these inhibiting forces directly into our evolutionary path. What this all results in is a vast, invisible network of social coherence across these dimensions. Just as our good streams pass to good beings, our bad, inhibiting streams pass straight to bad beings. The elemental essence around us is constantly reacting to our thoughts, forging thought forms. Through those luminous streams we talked about earlier, we are continuously feeding and interacting with an incredibly diverse ecosystem of entities. So why does any of this matter for us right now in our daily lives? Bringing these cosmic mechanics back down to Earth, having a spiritual scientific understanding of the astral world's permeability should naturally cultivate a profound, absolute inner tolerance in the physical world. Right now, we live in this hyper-materialistic age where people literally want to destroy each other over differing opinions. We view an opposing idea as a literal threat to our space. But knowing how the higher worlds operate, that changes the game entirely.
We're essentially being called to adopt the customs of the higher worlds. Up in the astral realm, an entity will basically say, "Other opinions do not bother me." They don't engage in destructive personal disputes. They don't call the other side foolish or evil. They simply allow the differing ideas to coexist in the exact same space, knowing with absolute certainty that reality itself will naturally sort out the battle. The most fruitful, productive idea is always going to prevail. Which leaves us with something incredibly powerful and, frankly, a little daunting to consider. We are not just passive observers sitting inside our own minds. We are highly active builders in a shared, unseen world. If every single thought you hold, every flash of judgment, and every moment of joy instantly becomes an immediate deed in the astral world, what reality are you building right now? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this gives you a completely new lens through which to view the immense weight and the unbelievable power of your own inner life.